Hello, Granny. Hello, Granny. Hello, Granny. Welcome back to episode 22.
Oh, my God.
What's our podcast called? I can't remember what it's called.
It is the worst reselling podcast ever.
Well, you know, I've seen some other podcasts on the interwebs lately, and especially on YouTube. And I don't know, I think we've got some competition for the worst reseller podcast ever, Granny.
Yeah, well, technically, if you want to go by performance and how they interact and everything, yes, we probably aren't the worst reselling podcast ever. But you know, hey, whatever.
Well, that's right. We'll take the accolades.
We've got the title.
Well, that's right. We'll take the title. Well, yeah, even though Hairy Tornado tried to pinch it off us momentarily, but we did fight for it back. But you know, there's a lot of podcasts popping up left, right, and centre, and you know, we wish them well. You know, we're not talking about negatively about any other podcasts, but maybe they could do some practice behind the scenes.
Yeah, they seem to have become a bit more popular, especially in America. There are quite a few more popping up over there, I think, at the moment. They're sort of become a bit of a thing.
Yeah, so this is all, I blame Commonwealth Picker for this, because he's the one that brings everyone out of the woodwork. So they're all trying to emulate the Trash to Cash podcast and my beloved Reseller Clickbait podcast. And, you know, to me, they're probably the better ones that I watch. And that's not, you know, obviously not talking down to anyone else that has a podcast, but yeah, I think they're probably the more gold standard of what I've seen personally. So
yeah,
but
well, I was going to say I'm quite enjoying the Power Hour podcast, which is Josh Galt and can't remember the other guy's name, but anyway.
You can't remember his name. You can't remember Flippin' Ain't Easy, John.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, because I do watch his channel too. But yeah, they do. But their podcast is different in that it's very business orientated and more in depth about stuff. So it depends on what you want. If you want entertainment, you probably don't want to listen to that one.
No, they're quite dry.
Yeah, they are.
And I've said numerous times that, you know, I listen to them, and by the time, you know, I've finished the hour power, I kind of resemble like dried squid. So yeah, I have to slither back in the ocean and rehydrate myself a little bit. But no, definitely, if you're very analytically minded and you want some something to chew on, I suppose, you know, a bit of a thought-provoking podcast, opposed to just, you know, the Trash to Cash one where they're just the same topic every week and picking on Kevin and his swing exploits apparently, or allegedly is the word of the moment. So yeah, no, it's good. But last week we talked about what we actually found wrong with reselling and what we actually found bad with reselling. So this week we're actually going to talk what we actually found good with reselling, like you know, good experiences.
There are lots of good things too.
Yeah, well, that's right. Surprisingly, for being Grumpy Granny of the Disgruntled Octopus, you didn't think that we would have a positive podcast about anything in particular. But no, we want to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about our personal experiences with Hayfro Sells. I think that's pronounced his channel's name. So Jack and I hope I got that right. No, sorry, Jeff. I've written their names down. So like I told you numerous times, these eyes are painted on, so I can actually see what's going on. So Jeff is Hayfro Resells. He's got an offsider called Jack. And apparently they've hacked the eBay algorithm into giving you more sales and more traffic and all those different things. Yes. So long story short, Grumpy Granny and I have got nothing to live for. So we decided to destroy our stores just in the plight of trying what he's put across. So we'll touch a bit about that as well.
Well, you know, we wanted to present the information to the boys and girls, but we didn't think it was fair either to do that if we hadn't actually tried it ourselves to see what happened.
So we're going to talk about some really heavy stuff this episode in regards to that. Probably not as much as Jeff goes into it in his own YouTube channel, and I will put down in the comment box below, the description box below, Jeff's channel and the video in question. But you know, and I can't emphasize enough is that, you know, we are not telling you to do this. We're just reporting our personal. We're only reporting our personal experiences. We're not recommending that you do one way or another. Because as you'll find out later on, and if you're in the podcast, in our live show this morning, you'll find out that I actually screwed something up and deleted 100 listings. But
which and very easily can be done doing this reset. Let me tell you.
Good news on that, Granny, is actually someone messaged me asking if that G-Star jeans were still available, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll double check. And guess what? I'm down at 99 listings that I deleted now. I found out who they were, what they were. But like we said, is that I won't beat around the bush, right? Our results were very in line with what Jeff was saying in his videos. So he's not. From our experience, right? So our experience that that the figures were very akin to what Jeff was portraying, right? So I've done the reset 5 times over the course. I think I started on the 20th of October, and I did one yesterday. But the one yesterday didn't go very well because we had a telco outage yesterday. So
I think the Optus outage might have had a bit of an effect on our figures yesterday.
Yeah, so probably not the best day to line up from that. But what I can't stress enough, it is very, 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 very dangerous to do it if you're not on top of it. Like a lot of resellers throw around that they're ADHD and all these different things, and that's not that I'm diagnosed, but that's the exact reason why I lost 100 listings. Because got sidetracked.
It's something you've got to be. It's something I can only say that if you do decide to have a go at it, do it especially the first time, do it very slowly and carefully, because it is very easy that you could actually delete a heap of listings. Yeah,
and it will hurt a lot when you screw up. So like I said, we'll talk a bit about the eBay stuff first, what we actually find good about reselling and what our personal experiences are in regards to that reselling space. Then we'll crack in a little bit further into the episode. We'll talk about the facts and figures of what we've personally done. We'll use round figures because I think one of them is 69.3%. I'll just get round that up to 70%. So don't get your pitchforks and torches after me if I just round up to a 0.7% higher or lower than what it is. But like I said, the figures, they're not marginal. They're not like 1 or 2%. They're quite significant. But do I think it's going to be a lasting effect? Possibly not. It might be a case of making hay when the sun shines. But like I said, this is primarily our experience. So please don't. If you're new to reselling, or you're technically inept, or you don't know what you're doing, or turning a computer on for you blows your mind, probably wouldn't recommend without having someone to hold your hand through the process if that's what you want to do. So I can't stress that enough, because you could potentially screw up a lot of things and cause yourself more work. I mentioned this morning, I'm going to have to do a 100% restock because of those 100 listings that I lost. So
fun stock take, yay!
Yay! I'm going to be worse than disgruntled octopus. But I suppose we'll go to you, Granny, because you're obviously the newer to the reselling space. So last week we talked about bad experiences. Obviously all these different things, and people were chasing us with pitchforks and torches because of our previous reviews and all those different things, and that's obviously a bad point of the reselling space, is that I suppose you can't have an opinion.
Unless these days, isn't it?
unless you're aligned with the in crowd, you're kind of ostracized and chased down the street. But that's enough about the bad stuff. I want to know about your good experiences. Don't worry about me. I'm just handling my tentacles, trying to make myself more comfortable. Tentacles. Tentacles,
yes. I'm going to say, for me, the biggest positive that I get out of doing reselling is the fact that no matter how old you are or what your mobility is, you can find a way of doing reselling to work for you if you've got the mindset that you want to actually make a go of it. So for me, at the time when I started, I had really bad back problems. I mean, look, they haven't completely gone away, but they're a lot better because I've had surgeries in amongst all that. But when I started, I had real issues with mobility, and I wouldn't have been able to. I would have found it difficult having a job, like being employed by someone else and having to work regardless of whether it was sitting, because I couldn't sit for a long time. I also couldn't stand for a long time. So I would have had trouble with all that. And I certainly couldn't lift things because my back was really shot. So from that aspect, being able to actually adapt the reselling business and work from home and adapt it to how I physically was fantastic, and so if I needed to stop and go and lie down, I could, or if I needed to stop and go and sit down or get up and stretch and whatever, like I had it allows you to work around your limitations, let me say.
So you got the autonomy of what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest positive, because it means that anyone, and I'm not going to say anyone. When I say anyone, I mean anyone that actually does want to do it seriously. You actually can make a go of it, no matter what other obstacles you might have.
Yeah, and then I got pretty much similar experience, right? And I would caveat that as well, like you said, is reselling for everyone? No, it's not. Like you said, it's a lot of hard work. It's you need. The plus side of the autonomy is that you get to do your own stuff, but on the flip side is that you need to do your own stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have someone breathing down your neck saying, "All right, Grady." Oh, well, sorry. You don't have, a human boss breathing down your neck. You got an octopus going, "Hey, Grady, do this stuff." But like you said, if you can work for yourself and you've got that motivation, you've got that intrinsic value, and you've got that extrinsic value for all these different things. Reselling could be a fantastic opportunity for you. That. Is it going to make you millions and millions and millions of dollars? Probably not. especially if you follow our mistakes from last week. You're probably not going to be nowhere near millionaire at all. Is that like a lot of people, and this is not a dig at anyone in particular, is that the gold standard of reselling is tech and sport, right? He makes he sells about $6 or $7 million a year. He's quite happy to tell you that every YouTube video he does, and and like every other YouTube person that follows him says the same thing. But what the fact of the matter is that the likelihood of that being replicated in this market and this point of time is nigh impossible. I'm not going to say it's completely impossible. There might be a 0.1% chance that you may have the same thing, because it's almost like the planets have to align to do all those different things. And from Tech's background story, he was extremely motivated. He had very, very strong motivations for doing what he did, and he's built it up through other businesses as well. Well, he said that his eBay business funds other businesses, but and like, I'm not all over tech and sports diary, but it could be the other way as well. Is that when other businesses upscaled, they could be potentially pushing back into eBay for him to increase the eBay business as well. So that's something just be very mindful watching. And this is, like I said, I'm not directing you at tech, but if you're watching videos like from, I suppose, influencers that are saying, hey, look, you can make, sell these shirts for $4,000 and all these different things and all that, it's unrealistic. You're going to be very...
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, Octo, is it's in relation to your setting too, because, like someone that lives, say, in a capital city in Australia, say, like I live in the middle of the bush. And so within, a short distance, I've only got one op shop, say. But then within half an hour's distance, I've got, say, 10, right? Whereas someone living down in Melbourne, I'm in Victoria, so that's my capital city, where there are op shops and savers stores and places like that. And there are also down there, you can go to some of the wholesalers. So they've got a lot more access to a lot more stock. So their chances of upscaling are probably of a greater thing. Whereas if you're just someone living, say in a regional city in Australia or even in a tiny little country town like myself, like you've got to be realistic, with relation to what your situation is and where you're located.
Yeah, and that's right. And further to that, I agree. In part, that I suppose it is what you make for it, right? Like, there's nothing stopping you. And like you said, you got that initial hurdle of getting enough capital to expand your business. Once you expand your business or have that capital to do it, then you can start bringing stuff to you. And then you can start processing it out of all those different things. So that limitation of the one thrift store, the one op shop that you mentioned, will disappear because you can actually have stock coming to you. But like you said, that if you look at that as a limitation, that's mindset's what's going to be ultimately driving you. You obviously need to be thinking for the bigger picture. And like we said earlier in a previous episode, is that you almost like need a plan B, and that plan B could be I'm still reselling, but how am I, I might move on to plush toys, or I might move into this different market. Is that it's doing a bit of research, and, like having a business plan, I suppose you could say, well, this is what I want to achieve this year and what it is. And that we find a lot of that. And Granny could probably attest to this as well, is that when we speak to people that reach out to us, by all means reach out to us, because we love talking to you. Even Granny does. If I don't, I'll redirect you to Granny. That's how you can tell if I don't like you. But what it is that, that people look at it from, they don't think outside the box, that they need to start looking at all these different things. The first initial hurdle is that, getting enough capital to move to the next level, right? So, and that's what I personally like about reselling, is that, if you look at it from a video game perspective, that, as much as I hate using the term leveling up, you could do that. Like I said, that you could basically go, well, my first hurdle is to make 100 sales, or maybe my first hurdle is to make $1,000, or all these different things. Like we said last week, is don't use a credit card to buy stock. Do infinite amounts of research before you even walk into a thrift store. And Tech and Sports has said that numerous times. Don't walk into an op shop or a thrift store, knowing nothing, because you'll just pick up anything. Then you'll get home and
Look, it can be a trap, and especially we previously talked about ADHD. I think one of the positives for being a reseller, and if you've got ADHD, which I actually have diagnosed ADHD, is that it enables you, it keeps your mind busy, because there's so many aspects to it. And if something, I tend to be able to do it because there's so many different things. And that's probably one of the reasons I don't stick to just one single category, because after a while I would probably get a bit bored with that and start thinking about something else. But you can skew and you can change and you can switch to things. So if you decide, if you're selling, jeans and books and records, and that starts to become a struggle, whether it's through sourcing or because you're bored with it, you can actually do some research and keep your mind busy and find out, I actually know a lot about teddy bears, and I can know where I can get a lot of teddy bears, so now I'm going to add teddy bears to my inventory. It allows you that variation, and I mean that is probably one of the best things about it.
Yeah, and I think that I've said this numerous times before, is that, it really, like Granny was saying then, is, it really depends on what you can source locally or what you can source initially. But if you, for example, I've got a collector mindset, I know exactly how I want things to arrive to me, so therefore I send things out that way. Then I try and reverse engineer how I can get, certain products cheaper, that almost to like a wholesale price or a bulk lot price, and I can start moving them from that. That's not to say that because I know how to sell things, I should just go out and get a $10,000 credit card and just put 10 grand on Funko Pops and all this. It's not going to work. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of different angles that go into it, and that not being able to source, I suppose, Funko Pops locally, that's not stopping me from, sourcing further afield or having stock come to me and all these different things. These are the things that, you'll advance through and, has an opportunity. And like Grumpy Granny was saying, is that every day is different. It's not as if you go in, log on, open up your emails, talk to your co-workers and all these different things. And, it's exciting. Some days you might be just bored out of your mind and, wanting to, go back into the ocean and give up on your world domination aspirations. But other days you might come across this phenomenal deal and you're like, this is fantastic. Then, you've got enough stock to do you for a couple of weeks and all these different things. But
and that's true too. And I think that's part of it. You're talking about reverse engineering and all that sort of thing. They're challenges. And someone like yourself, in particular, I think, you love those challenges and you love working out how to do that and how to, you might see something and you love that challenge of working out how can you make that work for your advantage. And I think that's the other thing. It does have those everyday challenges and excitement of what I'm going to do next. It's good.
And because I think the major thing that I see, and I hear it a lot when people do YouTube videos. I gave up work and I've gone full time and all these different things. Is that the number one reason? If you reached out to them and honestly asked them, why do you want to be a full-time reseller? I can guarantee on the top of the list would be, I want to be my own boss, or my boss is an idiot, or let's go choose a more colourful word then. But we're still in the morning time slot.
Yes.
All these different things. So that's to me, that's not necessarily a real reason for going reselling. Yeah, it's a good reason by all means. Yeah, like I said, that my personal stance of coming across to reselling is because I enjoyed it, and I was making enough money to support, our lifestyle. My wife works full time, so there's that going for us and all those different things. But if you're a single person and have a $100,000 job, regardless if you're in Australia or America, it's quite an adjustment. Having and I've said this numerous times, is you need more than one source of income. If that's the case, that.
And it's one of those things that you can't start it and expect it to, all of a sudden that you're making the same amount of money. You've got to build it up. It takes that time to build up. It takes, months to get up and a little bit more, and each time and get up a little bit more, and be increasing your sales till you're getting to that point that you want it to be at. I mean, I'm certainly nowhere near where I want to be at, but then I've only been doing it for 18 months. But I've definitely got the growth. Pretty much month by month, apart from, probably September, October were a bit skewy for me of this year because I had surgery, then I got COVID, and, there were a few variables as to why, and my recovery from surgery. So that changed things those months, but month by month overall, since I started, I've had good growth. And that's just, to me, is such an achievement, makes me feel good. And, if you realise that you are good at reselling, it's a joy to do it as a job.
Yeah, and it's good. Like I said, if you look at it from perspectives that like a leveling up. Depending on how your brain's wired, right? If you for me personally, I need to link it to I suppose not like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, but maybe like an RPG, like with predefined levels and experience and all these different things. And once I meet this goal, I class it as the next level kind of thing. But and that's what motivates me, because like I said, like we said earlier, is that I get incredibly bored unless I do these different things. And motivation's issue sometimes. Like I might have, but that's for everything. Not to say that you don't, if you work full time for someone else, you're not going to be motivated 100% of the time. It's just the fact of the matter is that having an off day, or having a day once a month where you just basically sit down tools and reflect on yourself. It's an ability to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, as long as you're covering your bills and making sure your family's fed, there's nothing worse. There's nothing wrong with taking a day out of your schedule. And likewise, is that, and we'll probably talk about a bit later as well, is that you've got the autonomy of making your own schedule. So you're not rocking up at 9 to 5. Someone telling you have to work overtime, or you have to do this, or if you wanted to. For example, I know a lot of YouTubers say this. They want to attend their kid's recital or something like this. I don't know, has recitals these days, but your assembly or something along the lines of that. You could just go. You don't have to ask anyone. You just and that's the thing. Around it.
I've had a couple of times where one of my kids has asked me at the last minute, could I go and babysit their kids? And they all live a distance away, so the closest one is about an hour and a half away. It's not so if I'm going there, I'm going for the day. But doing reselling gives me the ability that if that happens, even if they were to ring me that morning, I can just drop tools and I can go if they need the help. So, that's good. And look, honestly, one of the best things about it is that you get to go thrifting if you want to.
Yes, I hate thrifting personally. That's the worst thing. I probably didn't put it as a bad thing last week, but personally to me, that thrifting is a time sink. You find a lot of videos, and I'd be quite curious to find out I suppose Diary of a Flipper's view, because he makes a lot of thrifting videos and all those different things. Is that to me, thrifting's not worth the time investment. If I could have stock come to me, I can process it. By all means, it's good to go out and thrifting and the thrill of the hunt. But how many times do you go out and come back with nothing, or you've wasted a tank of petrol or a tank of gas on something that's probably going to sell for $6 or $7 and all these different things. So it's almost like professional gambling.
Oh yeah. Look, I get what you're saying, and I'm just at that point at the moment where it's really, really hard for me, because I get my stock, if I work on averages, the average price I pay for my jeans is $3. The average price I pay for the tops that I sell is $1. The average price of the books that I sell is 60 cents. So it's really, really hard for me because I'm at that point where to level up to where I need to go next, I need to increase the amount of stock that I'm getting and maybe the variety, say, in particular with brands and things, because I'm limited here with the types of brands that I can get. So there are things that I need to do to change that up, which means, as you say, getting wholesale and getting it delivered here. But it's a big decision when I'm paying $3 for a pair of jeans. When I go and get stuff wholesale, I'm going to be looking at more like $9 or $10. So it's just that, yeah.
Yeah, and you're right.
A hard one.
Well, that's exactly right. And I've said numerous times before, it may be going to, like we'll talk about to Blake this morning, is that it might be going to the thrift store or the op shop that we do around the area and just say, hey, look, here's $500. I want to buy a pallet of jeans or something along the lines of that. Then just, like I said, just start locally and build your way up from there. But wholesales, like I said, it really comes down to the market because the wholesaler is looking to make a profit as well. Because they're probably paying what you're paying for jeans when it gets to them, and on selling them for $10 or $11, $12, $13, $14, $15, depending on what they're selling the price per pair at. Is that and like a lot of people say, is that the clothing market's quite saturated. So you're kind of going against those different things. But I tend to to say quite observantly is I hate clothes. I might go sourcing jeans because I don't mind them because it's quite easy to size them and photograph them. But would I go pick up buttoned up shirts or t-shirts and all those different things? Probably not, because the amount of times I've gotten home and they've got holes in them or buttons missing and all these different things because I've had like 18 other things in my head and not really looked at it that closely. Where jeans, you can just check the hems, check around the crotch to make sure there's no holes and
make sure they've got a button on them, and you're laughing.
You pretty much but like I say, running the business is learning these things and having processes and all these different things. And like you said earlier, is that I quite enjoy the reverse engineering kind of thing from that perspective. So and
same here. Look, I love the research part of it. And, look, one of the things because I was doing all sorts of clothing, like, every type of garment that you can think of, I was doing. And then when I started looking into it at how I could increase the volume and list and not have as many, as you say, those items that you bring home. And it's not quite often, it's not until you're photographing them that you actually find one of those flaws. And, it's so bloody annoying. But one of the things I discovered, and one of the reasons I definitely lean towards denim, is that denim has a much larger leeway for if it's got what you might call a flaw in a different type of garment, but you can get away with that in denim, and that's one of the really cool things about it.
Yeah, distressed is my new favourite word.
It is a wonderful word. It is a wonderful word.
So, and that's possibly why people gravitate towards jeans, like you're saying, is that there's a style for it because as long as the hole's probably appropriately placed, you could sell it as a distress, because a lot of the manufacturers make holes in their knees and in their legs and all these different things. So that lines up with this. Yeah,
and I mean, look, I have schooled myself big time on denim and the styles and eras and all that sort of stuff. And yes, there's a lot of bread and butter stuff that comes through my store that I wouldn't do it to, but occasionally I'll get some really good jeans that are, say, vintage and, they're worth a few dollars more, and that maybe they've got a little stain on them. And the beauty of it is I've actually taught myself how to distress them. So I could actually, on something like that was worth it, I would actually, I have taken the time to distress it, because then it's still worth a decent amount of money. Whereas if I sold it with the stain, it devalues it. So
that's right. Because but these are the things that you wouldn't do in a normal 9-to-5 job. That you're doing things that you will hopefully like. You're not doing things for the necessity of all these different things. But but I suppose another thing that I quite like about the reselling space is the community. That it's not when I first started selling, and what I said last week was I was selling Lego, it's quite cutthroat. Yeah, like when I was dealing with people in those forums and all those different things, it was always kind of like a smoke and mirrors kind of thing, that I'll give you this little bit of information, but until you knew that person, then they opened up like a floodgate and you got everything. But there's always that constant shadow behind the things. Like, are they telling me this for legitimate reasons? Are they trying to put me off the trail and all those different things? But what I find in the reselling community, especially like watching some YouTube resellers as well, is that they're pretty warm and welcoming and all those different things. Is that could be potentially seen as a fault in the business world because obviously you're prepping up your competition. But I find in the reselling space is that if I'm selling jeans and you're selling jeans, the likelihood of us having the exact same pair of jeans, the exact same size, the exact same style, it's non-existent. So the amount of times that I've reached out to you and say, "What the hell are these?" and you'll go, "Ladies' jeans," or you'll reach out to me and say, "What's this?" and I'll just tell you what it is in response. But like I said, it's just that community angle. Is that because reselling is quite lonely? I don't know about you, Granny, but when you walk around the nursing homes, when you get to tell people about your reselling adventures and all those different things, no one cares. Like,
no, they don't. Well, most of the people in the nursing home got no idea, and a lot of them are a bit, they're losing it a little bit in the head, and so they've
lost their faculties.
You sit down and explain it to them, and they go, "Oh yeah," and they act all interested. But then when you see them the next day, they've completely forgotten what you've said anyway, they weren't interested enough to take it in.
No, that's right. Well, I've asked, try and tell, Mrs. Octopus about my reselling exploits for the day, and she rolls her eyes and slithers off into a different room. Or, the Octolings, I try and pay them to take photos because photos are the worst part of the reselling. I don't care what anyone says. Photos, I hate photos. I'll list until the cows come home, but I hate photos. But I try and pay the Octolings to do the photography, but they're not even interested in it. So I'm lumped with doing everything. But it's the way that I've got this business set up is that I can't afford to pay like a helper, and that's something that I want to go further down the road because which should be common knowledge because I don't make no secret of it. I've got 2 eBay stores, right? So one eBay store that's ran primarily in Newcastle where my parents are, so they basically take care of the day-to-day running of that store, the shipping and all those different things, which is a replenishable store. It does quite well, and that makes up for a lot of my sales, where the Octopus is more or less more of an eclectic collection of randomness and insanity and all these different things.
Whatever he finds.
Well, that's pretty much what it is. It's, my eBay store, it's like pretty much alludes to a sunken treasure collection, because that's pretty much what it is, and that's what I see reselling as, is that someone like myself is quite nostalgic for certain things. That. I'm happy to display things. Then, when the time comes, I'll move them on. And you do come across something in the wild, it's good because it's got like a double value, is that you can display it for as long as you want. Then when you get sick of it, you can move it on. So it's not as if you
example.
What you had,
Mr. Chatterbox, Mr. Chatterbox, up there,
Mrs. Chatterbox. We know who that is. But the thing is, though, Sega Master System games, a lot of the Americans probably wouldn't know what that is. It was the console that failed against the Nintendo, the NES in America, but like the Genesis's prequel. But I collect those games, and it gets to the point where I get sick of looking at them and I'll move them on and all these different things. But working a 9-to-5 job, you probably wouldn't have that opportunity to go sourcing these things or come across them. But if you're working your hard-earned cash, you'll actually buy these things and display them for a long period of time. And there's no cycling of different things. So I actually quite enjoy that perspective as well. Is that like I said previously, Granny, is that if I've got something that I want to keep longer than I will, I'll list it at a higher price. And if it sells for that higher price, I'm like, I don't care. It's it's time to move on, because I'll probably come across something similar to that. Look, with the Flash. I quite enjoy the Reverse Flash because he's quite a handsome villain like I am. I found a couple of action figures in the thrift store a couple of weeks ago for $1 each. I put them up for $75. I put them up for $75, and I sold one for $60, and I was like, buy Reverse Flash.
Exactly. Look, and I do the same thing. Like, I pick up things that I quite like, and I like picking up dolls, and I have them displayed around, and it's good to have them around, like, a bit of stuff around you that, it makes you feel good about what you've been out and sourced. But yeah, there are a few odd things that I put a much higher price on them because I really don't want to sell them. But
and like we said before, Diary of a Flipper, he did his little toy challenge where he was building a vintage toy collection with, starting, I think he started with $5. I'm not too sure. He can go through his videos and work out
$1 I think he started with, didn't he?
Yeah, but something along the lines of that, buying things to flip them to pay for other things, for those Seeker Master System games, for example, I'll buy random things to flip them, and I'll put money aside like he did with his piggy bank. Then go buy all those different things from there, and and it's just an opportunity that you probably wouldn't have working. Well, I'm not saying it's exclusive just to resellers, but it's something that. Regardless if you're a part-time or full-time reseller, it's an opportunity to build a collection. So you're not necessarily. We're primarily looking at from a full-time reseller space, but if you're in a part-time, that it might be a perfect way of building a collection of something that you've always wanted to collect, just didn't have the money to do.
Exactly, and I think that is one of the good things about reselling is that you can do it as a side hustle, whether that's for, like we know someone that was doing it so that they could pay for airfares to bring all their kids home for Christmas. Other people might be doing it because they do want to have collections of stuff, whether that's Pokemon, whether that's, console systems. You can do it that way too. Might be just because you like playing video games and you want the latest and greatest video games, and then when you're sick of that game, you can sell it on and make a profit out of it and then invest that money into the next one. All those things, if you want to do it if you're doing it as a side hustle.
Well, that's right. And I'm sure a lot of our audience will probably already know this, but if you're buying video games, don't trade them back into GameStop or don't trade them back into eBay Games and all those different things. Put them on Facebook Marketplace, get as much, or even eBay, get as much money as you can for them. Then source from Facebook Marketplace, because the amount of times I've gone to Facebook Marketplace and a game that I was going to pay $70 or $80 for in the store, I can pick it up the next day for $50 or $40 because someone's played it, finished it, and they want to move it on. It's a lot better way of doing it. Even sourcing it, because you develop and you build a set of skills that you're actually looking for things that have value. You're not paying for things, and I personally find that I'm not wasting as much money as I was previously, because buying a pair of jeans for $3 and going, oh my God, these are like new Levi's that fit me. All 8 tentacles can fit in. I'm not going to walk into a Levi's store and the same pair of jeans are $120, $140.
Yes.
You become instantly more frugal, I suppose. Which is good or bad, depending on which way you're looking at it. But
you do.
But there's lots of pros to reselling, but.
There are, and look, I do that myself with my clothing. Most of my wardrobe is listed on eBay to sell, and it's great because if I find stuff that I like, I'll wear it. I list it. If it's something that I really like, I will list it at a much higher price, as we alluded to before, because it might be just something that I really am comfortable in and like to wear. And look, if something was to happen to that while I was wearing it, okay, well then I can just delist it and take it down. And otherwise, goes back on the rack, no different.
That's right.
And look, that's probably one of the other things that I like about it. And people will talk about, you being environmentally friendly. To me, and yes, we are, and that's a good thing. But for those people that want to be environmentally friendly, that's a really good thing. But for me, it's more about doing it for the economy as such my economy. Because it means that, in a lot of ways, look, when it comes to toys, when it comes to books that my grandkids want, to collect, or my son wants to collect, or particular toys that my grandkids like, generally I can find those things for a lot less money. And even things that I like, I can find those things, whether it's a, record, vinyl LP record, whether it's an old movie or a particular book, I can find those things a lot cheaper. Because I've got my contacts and through reselling, you can get them a lot cheaper and enjoy them for as long as you want to enjoy them, and then find them a new home. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and that's something to do. And I do want to bring up that with thrift store prices and all these different things you see coming along. If you've been looking for a product for a very long time and you come across it for $25 or $30, and oh my God, they got it for free and all those different things, is that the likelihood of you that I have no problem with paying up for that kind of stuff. Yeah, if it's going into the collection, and yeah, if you've done your research. And I've alluded to this numerous times. If you've done your research, you'll know what it's worth on the market. Yeah, sometimes you'll catch them out like, that $25 item you balk at and go, oh, Jesus, that's expensive. They got it for free. It could be worth $600. Like, I'm not going to pass up, a $600 potential $600 item just because, the thrift store's marked it at $25, and I'm sticking to the $2 rule or something along the lines of that. Is that but you're correct in what you're saying. It's the economy. To me, the environmental factor and all those different things plays a secondary part, right?
Yes, for me too.
I perceive it from a perspective is that's I suppose a positive side effect of what we do. Because
it's a byproduct, I'd call it.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's not something that I continue. You see some people that on their Instagram pages that they talk about hero packaging, which is biodegradable and all these different things that do I particularly care about that stuff? No, it's not. As much as I don't fill up the ocean with plastic and all these different things. Is that that you're running a business, right? Like I suppose that's
you've got to make sure that your business is still running economically, and you can't, like, if that means, which in my situation it does mean, I'm not going to go out and buy that special environmentally biodegradable packaging when for a quarter of the price I can buy what I use. And I mean, I do things like I use very little bubble wrap. Only use it when absolutely necessary, because most of when I do my books, and even the vintage books, I put them in a cardboard protector inside a bubble mailer, and that takes the place, whereas people will wrap them in bubble wrap. Well, if you want to be environmentally friendly, which is the better way to do it?
Yeah. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to be environmentally friendly, but I suppose that from a reseller, from a full-time perspective, is that once my business gets to the point where I've got the excess cash flow, that I can get to the point where I can go, hey, I'm willing to pay 4 times or 5 times the price in bringing environmental packaging. But I suppose that your audience has to want that. There has to be an expectation from your customers that you are using, biodegradable products, all these different things, because not that I've reached out to my customers before, but I've had, I've just checked on my eBay store. Then I think I've sold about 13,000 items since 2020. We'll just say that. Not one of those people have reached back and said, "Hey, why didn't you use a biodegradable bag?" my thing is that it's like I said, it needs to be.
You have to be frugal. You have to be financially, savvy and know what's good for your business. And if that's not good for your business, well, you can't go that way.
Well, that's right, and that's not to say that it's good, bad, or indifferent. And by all means, put in your comment field below if you do look for environmental friendly products. And and environmental friendly, maybe going down to the hardware store and reusing boxes, or using paper mixers and all these different things. That's fantastic, because you're reusing those products and it's free. But the fact of the matter is that being a full-time reseller, or being a reseller in our capacity, is that you really. You almost have to have like a uniformity process, that I can't spend 3/4 of the day looking for boxes that are the right size, or
find the exact right one.
That's right. And it almost becomes counterintuitive, like, because I have to potentially waste 3/4 of a tank of petrol driving around 16 different hardware stores looking for the perfect box. But like I said, each to their own. Like, if you've got a supplier, got all those different things. But I try and use recyclable material, but like I said, it's not something that's big on my list. So true.
All right, well, what else do you like about reselling? Anything?
Well, I like telling people what to do. Yes.
Oh yeah, look, I think one of my, and I've talked about some of my favorite things, but one of the unexpected things that I love about reselling is I've fallen into this whole YouTube thing. And that's, to me, it's just turned out to be such a joy. I would not have been caught dead on camera before. And if anyone bothers to actually go back and look at my very earliest videos, you're going to see my hands, but you're not going to see this face or this body. Like, there's just no way I would have done it. And through the exactly. Through the community of resellers and my interactions with them, first through me just going into live streams and chatting and, all that sort of thing, it has allowed me to make amazing connections. And I just love that. And I look forward to Thursdays and or the other days that we do the podcast, if we change it. But I really look forward to that and our live streams with joy. And I have joy when I'm creating my own videos. It just gives me a buzz, and it creates a social atmosphere for me because I'm interacting with people. And even the comments that they leave on my videos, for me to then go back and read them afterwards. And it just is wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and that's something I like quite enjoy as well, as much as I don't want to say it out loud, is that, reselling is quite lonely, and we're trying to build a community here, the people that necessarily of differing of opinions. We're not. I don't expect 100 people to start watching us, or 408 subscribe to us at the moment. All they have the same opinion. Please
subscribe to Octo so we can get to 409.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I need all the help I can get. But the thing of the matter is that I don't want 409 people with the same opinions and the same attitude or the same outlook on life. And that's something that I suppose I don't know if I raised last week, is that be different, have a different opinion, go against the grain. That I know that Grumpy Granny and me, push buttons and go against the grain just for shits and giggles. But the fact of the matter is that you don't have to watch someone and replicate their processes, or you don't have to go, oh my God, this person's phenomenal, I want to do what they want to do, because charisma comes into it, right? Yes, the more charismatic someone is, the more inclined you're going to be to following them. And like we said last week, is that business model mightn't necessarily be replicable for you. That like we were talking about earlier in the episode, is that situational and environmental factors and all these different things come into play. That we're talking about genes. The likelihood of having the same pair of genes. So if you're trying to emulate, my Funko Pop empire, the possibility you wouldn't be able to, because you don't have the same contacts, you don't have the same.
In all honesty, I don't think I've ever seen a single Funko Pop in any of my, when I say my local thrift stores, in that half an hour radius of where I live. I don't think I've ever seen a single Funko Pop. I've sold 6 Funko Pops in my time since reselling, and they were because my daughter's partner actually cleared out her Funko Pop collection and gave me the ones that she didn't want anymore.
But like I was saying, is that, and like charisma comes into it, right? Is that, and we try and do a different angle, is that we're playing characters in a video, right? Like we said, numerous times we're entertainment purposes, but that doesn't take away from the fact is that we're trying to build a community and get people to come in. And I suppose my perspective, and I don't know if you're like this as well, Granny, is that I want people to come and enjoy coming to watch us, and, interacting with us and engaging with us and all these different things. Like, I don't particularly care what you sell, or how much you sell, or how much you sell it for, and all these different things. And if you go door knocking on people's houses asking for stuff, or you're selling books and all these different things, I don't particularly care. What I care about is that for the betterment of the community. Look, from a mental health perspective, like Blake with his his abysmal facial hair, and in hindsight, I should have paid him to leave it on. But these are the things. These are the things that that I enjoy the most, is that interacting with people and helping them when I can. Like I said numerous times, that I don't know everything, but I don't know anything. I was probably right the first time. But I'll redirect people to people that might be able to assist and all these different things. And we'll talk about this morning with Discords and all these different things. Is that that you kind of want to find a space where you're welcome, and you can say whatever you want to say as long as it's respectful, and and be part of the community, part of the group, and all these different things.
And I just want to say too, I mean, and within our little group that we have, it is quite okay to disagree. You don't have to crack it if you disagree with what I say. Just tell me that you disagree, and I'll go, oh, okay, well, we agree to disagree. It's not a big issue for me. It's not a big issue for you. Some other people in this world of reselling, YouTubing, do take offence if we have taken offence in the past with some of the things that we've said. And I kind of like, look, it doesn't really get to me. I've kind of find it a bit amusing in a way, because rather than then come and talk to us about it so we can have a discussion, they then will go off and have their little spit, a dummy spit about it. And, that's unfortunate, because if we were all in a room physically together and having conversations together, like if we were all at a reselling mixer, say, together, you would be having those conversations and saying, oh, no, well, I think you should, I prefer to do it this way. The other person says, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. I would do it that way. You would actually be having those without doing the dummy spits and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're kind of having those same conversations just in a slightly different way.
Well, that's right. And like we were talking about this morning, is that I want people to think bigger picture, right? I don't want people just to be very closed-minded. Oh my God, the octopus comes on from 10 o'clock, to 12 o'clock on a Thursday morning with Grumpy Granny, for example. Then in that mindset, in that period of time, you're only thinking about what we're talking about. Like, challenge us. So, hey, look, you've said this, I don't necessarily agree with that, or this is what my stance is, and all these different things. And we will talk about it. I'm more than happy for that. But, like we said numerous times, we don't have an ego to bruise. So I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if people are thinking it that or people in the space think that we're having a go at them, or all those different things, or trying to dismantle them, or attack their money source, or their financial sources, all those different things. I couldn't care less. To tell you the truth, like I said, that my personal perspective is, once I take over the world and are in charge of all the humans, is that. And this is my stance. Take it or leave it. And I've said it numerous times, is that my number one priority is the community, right? Like, I call a spade, and that's pretty much a stand right from that perspective. Is that if I think you're doing something abysmally wrong and you're going to bite you in the butt further down the track, I have no problems pulling you aside and say, hey, look, you're gonna destroy yourself in some sort of capacity, like, and all these different things. But I think, my personal stance is the community, should be number one in that space. That we don't have an ego where, like, and some comments say, oh look, I'm happy that you wrote back to me. It's like, well, you wrote to me first. It's only polite for me to write back to you. Like, I want to be an accessible dictator kind of thing. So that why not? Why not? Engage. Engage us in any facility. But like I said, it's not all those different things in the reselling community, and that's what I quite enjoy. Like, I quite enjoy when people do dummy spits because I find it more amusing. Like,
well, it is.
But like I said, it really comes down to it, like opinions. Everyone's got an opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion, no matter what other people say, right? Like I said, that you might necessarily agree with what you have to say, but that's not to say that you're wrong. Unless you are wrong. And it could be
and it's often, it could be as simple as, I don't like a certain particular reseller, I don't like watching his content, say, but someone else that I have an interaction with actually might be a big fan of theirs, and I'm okay with that. Like, that's no.
Well, Uncle Wayno is quite aesthetically pleasing behind the camera. So,
yes,
but like I said, but I think. But that's what I enjoy about the reselling community, right? Is that people are so passionate about what they believe in, and they're passionate about what they do, all these different things. I couldn't care less if you're charging for a course, or you get paid for a course, or you get paid to do this, or you don't get paid to do that, or you're doing it for free, or you're doing it for your own intrinsic or extrinsic reasons. What I care about is that you deliver the product that you're saying you're delivering, and you're being transparent. Like, I really couldn't care less that if you're charging $20 for a Discord group just to be associated with you. Like, I couldn't care less because it's like, Granny's old enough to go, oh yes, I want to associate with the octopus. I'll pay him $20 a month to be in a group with him. I don't particularly. Wait, I know where you live, but the thing of the matter is I don't particularly care. But like I said, it just comes down to transparency, and just comes down to that. You're delivering what people expect.
Don't be misleading.
Yeah, no, that's right. But like I said, there's always drama with everything, right? It's not exclusive to the reselling community. Like, I watch other YouTube channels, and there's issues amongst streamers, like gaming streamers, and all these different things. And it really is. I don't know. Like, it's just. Look, like I said, it's enjoyable.
let's just put it this way. I have always said, and look at every workplace, right? I've always said, as soon as you have more than two people working in the same workplace, there is going to be drama of some sort. Everyone might get on fine, for the first month until they get to know each other. And then there's going to be things that annoy you about other people. Just how it is when you're interacting with people in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
The only difference is probably with your family members that you've grown up with. And this was something I learned years ago with one of my aunties, who when she would ring up and want to speak to me, and this was when I still had a husband living with me, and she'd ring up, and if I answered the phone, she'd be chatting away and whatnot. And then, but if my husband at the time answered the phone, she wouldn't even say hello. She'd just go, "Is Leanne there?" And it wasn't something that ever bothered me because I was so used to it. I'd grown up with it, but he hadn't. So he used to get really busy about it. So it's terrible.
Yeah. But like I said, it's fun, and I'll leave it at that. But I think we better move on to what we've actually come here for, Leanne, like the Hayfro resale statistics. So, like I said earlier, and what I want to draw attention to the fact is that this could be potentially very dangerous to your store. So, I'm going to put it blunt, right? So we did it. I did it in my alternative store originally, and found some very good statistics out of that. So then I moved it across to my main store. Which had the liked results for all those different things. So I'll put some caveats in before we start dribbling off and getting everyone excited for all these different things. So yes, it did increase, page views by on average about 65% every time I did it. So sometimes it was like 15 or 13% in the cycle, and other times it was like about 103%. So just on the laws of averages, about 65%. Sales did go up for a couple of days, then they dropped off quite significantly, which is in line with what Hayfro was saying as well. Impressions went up, organic views went up, a lot higher than promoted listings. So that's something you might want to look into if you do it, all those different things. I personally didn't turn off my promoted listings, so I can't comment if the store died in the back end because of promoted listings being taken off. But at one stage, my organic listings page views were 80% opposed to 20% being promoted. And that obviously stabilized over the 4-day cycle that Hayfro recommends. But the very, very, very pointed end, what I want to draw attention to is that, like I said earlier, I deleted 100 listings because I wasn't paying attention. And when I had 1,300 listings when I was doing every 4 days, me going back and finding those 100 listings is like finding a needle in a haystack. Like 1 in 13 listings, it doesn't work that way. And because I was cancelling them all at the same time, I can't go back and say, all right, 7:03 p.m. was that batch of 200 or that batch of 100 and all those different things. Because I ended the 1,300 listings over the space of a minute. So it was me having to find it. I have to go back through 100% stock take and all those different things.
Yeah, because if you're going to do it, be confident that you are going to concentrate and take the time and do it properly, because it is a big thing, and it is very, very easy to delete items accidentally, not on purpose. And it is because, I came close a couple of times. I've worked out a system for myself now that kind of prevents that. But look, it is very easy. So just be very, very mindful of that. And if you're feeling too nervous about it, because let me tell you, the first time that you go to do it, I felt very nervous about it. Am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? But I thought, hey, look, got to give it a shot. And so I did, and I'm glad that I did, and has worked for me as well. But I just want to make sure with everybody, if you decide to give it a go yourself, just follow the instructions that Hayfro Sales gives you, which is all on his video, but just be mindful that be careful, please. So I would like in conversations with Granny and Blake as well, because he took in this as well, and he noticed an uptick in his traffic. And I'm not going to talk for him because he can talk in a future YouTube video for himself. That I was in two minds whether to make this video, because a lot of the people that reach out to me, I don't want to say inept, but they're not technologically strong, or they're not necessarily but in tune with they wouldn't, they're not as knowledgeable about the platform. That's right. So how eBay works, and the last thing I wanted to do is release this video going, yes, it's fantastic, yes, it works, and all those different things. Like, yes, it works, but is it fantastic? It's a band-aid solution, right? Like, I don't think it should be to this point where we have to do this every 4 days, but if it's a necessity for getting sales, that you might need to do that. But I had reservations about, because like I said, I didn't want messages and messages and messages saying, I followed your video and you recommended I do this. Then I deleted all my listings by accident and it's all your fault. So like I said, I want to put. You keep talking. Okay, we can still see. Keep talking. You look angry as normal, but that's fine. But the fact of the matter is that if you undertake this, you need to be very, very mindful. Like, have
put time aside by yourself and, work out what you're doing. Like, you need to follow the instructions point by point. And it necessarily won't work across every store, Granny, because the figures changed, didn't they?
Yep. They did. They did.
Yeah, and I think 4 days, what Hey for a Sell was saying, like Jeff was saying, was smack bang on the head, because you can follow the traffic. So if you do a traffic view day by day, you'll have an initial spike. The second day's initial, the third day times it drops off, and the fourth day is almost like back to pre-sales, I suppose, from that different perspective.
Yes.
But I will reiterate this quite quickly before Granny jumps in, is that if your stuff in the store is not desirable, or it's not, it's junk or rubbish, you're not going to find an increase of sales. Like, I can tell you right now, that if the algorithm is burying listings per se, and your listings are being buried because they're complete trash or overpriced and all these different things, you're not going to you'll find an increase of page views, because you'll just basically be treated as new listings, but that mightn't necessarily transfer to sales. So
yes, true. And there are other people that I did a slight variation too when I was doing mine. And look, there are people I know that on YouTube that did variations. Like, even though it's 4 days, I know there were people talking about they were doing it once a week, or that they were doing it at alternate sort of timeframes, because that suited the way they run their business better. So that's another thing. Yeah,
and like I said, that you can go do your own research, because I can't state that enough. You need to do your own research. You need to look at your products, and that. What I think that assisted me with my store, like, because you will find diminishing results over a period of time, just by virtue of your better stock being sold out at the start. Like when I first did it, I had like phenomenal sales, but every time I've replicated it, the results have been a bit more muted, because the better products that I had originally have been sold out. So it's going all those different things, and I'm trying to replenish it as quick as I can. But these are the things you need to be mindful of, that you probably need to, before you consider it, you probably need to do a 100% store check to make sure that the prices are current, your photos are good, and all these different things. Because, if all your products look like a potato, and they're priced like a bar of gold, it's not going to work for you. So these are the things that you need to take into consideration. Geez, you're looking at me very stern, Granny. I feel like I'm in trouble.
I look like the Joker. I'm just about to come in. Oh, why is it? Oh, no, here we go. I'm coming in on my phone.
3, 2, 1. Oh, no, we're not.
Oh, no, hang on. I've got to put my name in, is what I hadn't done on my phone.
Jeez.
I know.
Well, this is why we can't have nice things. I see.
Hang on.
Mute yourself.
I can't mute myself. Hang on.
So I can't hear the background noise.
Right, there we go.
I was about to say, no, this is why we are the worst reselling podcast ever. We'll hold that title forever. But I think that, like I said, there's a lot of for every benefit, there's about 20 pitfalls that you need to be very mindful of, right? So, and this is why I did a little bit of a survey in a group that I'm in, is that because we're Australian, me personally, I've got 250,000 listings I can use a month. So every time you do a factory reset per se, well, she's gone again. Oh, there she's back again. Every time you do a factory reset of your store per se, is that you're going to be chewing into that allocation.
Yes.
So if you've only got like 500 listings a month, and you've got 400 items in your store, you're potentially looking at listing fees because you've gone over your limit. So that's something you need to be very mindful of as well. Like, because I can pretty much do a factory reset every day of the month and nowhere close to my monthly count, so it's not going to affect anything.
Yes.
But our viewers in America and the UK, I can't comment on what your store subscription listings are like. So if you've got a considerable size store, you might chew your listings up in a day or 2 days and all these different things. And one thing I did notice as well is that a lot of my products are listed in 2 categories. So I pay a 6 cents insertion fee to do all those different things. Every time you factory reset your store, I'll call it the factory reset.
Yes.
Trademark pending. I have to pay that 6 cents. I have to pay that 6 cents again. So that's it probably comes up to about $3 or $4 for a factory reset of the store on a 4-day basis. But that's something that, that's a recurring fee that people don't really take into consideration. What else did I have to say? Oh, one thing I do want to mention, though, if you have variation listings, not multi-quantity listings, variation listings, that was one thing that did trip me up, because when you end and sell similar for a variation listing, it will actually restock it across the board. So basically, if you've got, like I said, a purple octopus, a pink octopus, and an orange octopus, and the orange one sells, when you do when you sell end and sell similar, that orange octopus will come back into the stock, and you potentially come across feedback and defect issues because you're selling a product you haven't got stock on. So that, like I said, that if you've got variation listings, and you want to try this, do I recommend it? No, unless you know exactly. And this is not treating people like idiots. Unless you know exactly what you're doing and you have the time and you've got dead silence, you need to concentrate. Like there's no, you've never concentrated before. Potentially, it could work from you for that perspective. But like I said, there is a lot of pitfalls from this thing, and I am appreciative that Jeff and Jack, which is Hilo Reseller. Pronounce his name. There you go. And his friend that discovered this. They discovered this. That's what they pertain, and I'll take it on face value. It's very beneficial to the reselling community for those people that it does assist. But like I said, that it needs to be very, 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 very handled with care, because I've just completed my 5th cycle yesterday just because I wanted some. I wasn't doing it once and going, oh my god, this went fantastic and all these different things. This is why we kind of held off for a week to discuss the topics. So we had some quantifiable data, but like I said, is that someone as seasoned as this octopus still managed to screw it up. So I'm quite cautious of someone that's quite new to eBay or doesn't know how eBay works, or they're not technically advanced or anything along this, try and do it just to for the off chance of having sales. Then they might screw their store up. And on the flip side is I don't know if the sales and the page views and all those different things, I can, without a reasonable doubt, I could probably attribute it to the factory reset of the store. But it could be Q4 that's coming in, and that those items were going to sell anyway, and those page views were going to come through, because I'm getting a lot of feedback from a lot of buyers with 1 and 0 feedback and all these different things, because they're actively looking for these items. They're going on to Google and they're going to all these different things and sourcing the items from that perspective. So that's another thing you need to take into consideration as well before you do it. So if you've got really good items and you think that potentially that eBay's hit them in the searches and you want to give your store a refresh or something like that, by all means reach out to Hayfro's channel and watch his videos. And like I said, I'll put it in the description below to have a bit of a squiz and work out what you want to do. But we can't stress enough that you need to be very, very careful. Like, don't. And what are the longer term ramifications for this through eBay? Like, will eBay correct the shits and work out that people are doing it, then potentially put a damper on the store or something along the lines of this? So
that's what we don't know. We don't know those things because we've just done it. So I'm just trying to get it so I don't have to hang on to it all the time. Because we've just done it, we don't know those things.
No, and Hayfro, and I don't know how long Jeff's been doing it as well. I think he said he's been doing it for a couple of months, but a couple of months in the grand scheme of things is not quantifiable data, right? Potentially eBay could be like, all right, run a report. Everyone that's done this, we're suspending their accounts, or all these different things. So be very, very mindful of future. Ramifications, if anything. So, like I said, that we were quite hesitant to do this because, like I said, we did have favourable results, right? And from our point of view, Jeff isn't telling porcupines, right? So he's basically what he's stating is quite factual to what we're seeing. And this, like I said, this is only from our experience. It's not, and we're not going to say it's going to work for 100% of people and all these different things. But we don't know the long-term ramifications. Yeah. But it may be a case that we have to do a factory reset for our store every 4 days because the algorithm might push us down or might treat it differently because of all these different things. But like I said, that we have done it. The average is, what did I say, about 65%. Yes. The sales probably jump from anywhere between 60 to 100% over the course of that 4 days, sometimes double the sales and all those different things. But like I said, the results diminish because if you're not putting new stuff into your store, the different things, because
you've still got to be listing new items and items that people want. Otherwise, you just, the stuff. Look, one of the good things I found about it was that stuff that had been sitting in my store for a while has sold, and I think that's right, because it's been pushed up, which has been really good. And I will say, I followed a slightly different. So I did the full reset 3 times, and then after that, there were a couple of days where I knew that when I was meant to do it, that I couldn't do it. But there was such a drop off in even page views and traffic coming into my store, I would have had no hope of getting sales, I thought. So on those, the last 2 times I've done, like, instead of doing a full store reset, I've reset 600 items. And I've still it didn't give me as good a results as doing the full store reset, but it still gave me sales, which, that was sort of the main advantage. And so I did a few bit of calculations for me personally, and overall it increased the average dollar amount that I was making each day by $42. And I mean, given that I'm in that, still in what I'm going to class that beginner space, that's a really good increase for me on, and as I said, on average, because some days it was a lot more, some days it was less.
Yeah, and I suppose that the way that I'm gearing my store personally, and this is what I said before, is I've almost gone on a buying hiatus, right? Is that I want to try and increase my cash flow so I can, get rid of a lot of the trash in the store, blowing it out one way, and then it has, that the sales, like Rennie was saying, the things that you've had listed for 12 months or plus are the ones that are popping off and going. You're like, oh, I didn't even remember I had that. Yeah. I had a key ring from a Switch game that came out 4 years ago sell yesterday because of this cycle thing.
There you go.
So like I said, it's flushing the items out because it is pushing it up to the top. And from my personal experience and my, not my understanding of the algorithm, but it kind of lends truth to that stance that eBay is like dampening your listings after a certain period of time and all these different things.
No, you go.
I was going to say, but like I said, I can't stress enough, and I'm repeating myself, you need to be very careful. And, like I said, that the results that we're seeing mightn't be transferable. So, by all means, reach out to us. I'm not going to hold your hand and walk you through it because I don't want to be blamed for doing it. But you're more than welcome to reach out and have a chat to me, and I can tell you my experiences, and I can give you some, I can give you some screenshots of the numbers. But before I meant to cut Greenie off was that what you see is from a traffic perspective, right? So if you in the first day you might see your traffic's gone up 100%. Your page views might be 2,036 or something along the lines of that. Then the next day they'll drop off and all these different things. You'll see a lot of red in the page number count, but that's only because you're looking at it from a day-to-day perspective, right? Because on the 4th day your traffic might be down 320% or something along the lines of that. It's only because it was that artificial high to start with. So it's almost like a false downward. When it caught me out a couple of times, to tell you the truth. That it's like, holy crap, my page views have plummeted. Yeah, this is really bad. But when you look at it from what it's taking the data from, is that that first page view you might have had 2,000 listings, then on the 4th day you might have had 200 page views, which is probably in line with what your store would be normally, or like a normal store for that size. But it's in contrast to those massively inflated numbers at the start. So like I said, you're more or less looking at the quantity sold and the impressions and the page views from that perspective, and all those different. You need to take it as a consolidated picture, I suppose.
That's the thing. It's no good. We can talk page impressions, and I can say my page views are up 391% and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, that in essence means nothing. I mean, it's about whether it's actually increasing your sales, and whether it's increasing your sales that it's not actually affecting your ASP and that sort of thing, which was important to me. But the one thing I did discover when I was doing a few figures for it that I found interesting was that it increased over, and this is from when I started. So I did my first one on the 28th of October. So that's from the 28th until today. And it increased my top 20 search impressions by 444%, which in essence means, and I know that's not a dollar figure into my pocket, but it means that my items are going to be on that first page and right up the top when someone goes in and has a look for something.
Yeah, and we'll put it this way: we're not a big enough YouTube channel that we're going to change the landscape of eBay. So if you personally partake in this, because I think an argument would be is that if the octopus and granny is doing it and everyone's doing it, it's going to skew the data and all these different things. Is that on average we get about 500 views a week on our YouTube channel, right? Yeah. If all 500 people, which they won't, we'll say conservatively probably 100 people will try it. That it's literally a drop in the ocean if you do this thing. So don't feel that if you do it and I do it, everyone's doing it, it's going to dampen the results and dampen the output and dampen all these different things. It's really a drop in the ocean from that perspective. And if it gives you, and it really comes down to a competitive edge, right? Like, if it gives you a competitive edge to sell your products and to move it on to those different things. And that's why I said to Granny I wanted to discuss this topic after having some reflection on it, is because it does give you a competitive edge, even if it's only a very short-lived period of time. But that competitive edge could come at a very big consequence. We may not be even aware of yet. So, I said, you need to really work it out from your business perspective and say, is this worth it from my perspective? Is it worth potentially? Do I think eBay is going to ban you or suspend your account? No, I don't. Like, my stance, and this is what Blake and I talked about, was that if you've got 250,000, listings available to you, why not use them? Like, eBay's giving you to them. You're paying for a service. Like, let's go back to what we were saying before. You're paying for a service. Get what your service is available to you. But be very, very mindful. If you're in the States or in the UK, you may only have 2,000 listings that are free with your store subscription. So there's no use wanting to reset your store every 4 days if it's going to cause you to pay $200 in listing fees and you're only getting $60 back in profit. So like I said, there's so many variables that I was quite apprehensive about doing this episode in the first place, but I think that it would have been a misjustice to Jeff and to Jack and to our community to go, oh, look at this, we're rolling in sales because it's not phenomenal amounts of sales, but it is an increase. But why wouldn't we share something that we found that works for us? Not saying that for everyone, but share it with the community, because, like I said, that if we can improve the community or we can improve someone's life just that little bit better, we might as well share it. But like I said, you just need to take the caveats and watch Jeff's video 3 or 4 times, because that's what I did. The guy's probably got 4,000 view count from me watching it over and over and over again just to make sure all the nuances.
I probably watched it I think I watched it 4 times in the end too, just to be sure that I was. But
if you are going to watch Jeff's video, be mindful when he says delete listings, he means end and sell similar.
And sell similar. He doesn't.
So do not delete your listings. Like, by all means, reach out to me or reach out to Granny, and by me I mean reach out to Granny, and we will give you the general gist of what's going on. I'm not going to hold your hand and walk you through it, but I will give you the time of day and obviously reaffirm to you, saying, hey, look, this is potentially dangerous. This is what you need to take in consideration. But maybe you need to do some research on the end and sell similar and how to do that in eBay before you actually investigate in doing this. But don't jump in the deep end like I did and go, oh, what could this potentially do? And hope for the best.
I want to add in a couple of things. So one of the things for me, because when you sell similar, it brings it up in that bulk listing tool, I quite often would just have a quick scroll down and have a look, because some of the things that were in there, perhaps, say the VHS maybe, or some of the books that I'd had for a while that hadn't sold, I wanted to reduce their prices a little bit. And so it was quite good. So I just went in and did basically on some of them, decrease the price by $1, which you can actually do in the bulk editing tool if you're going to do that. So you can do that if you want to change prices or change anything on your listings when you go to do it. So that's number one. Another big takeaway for me, and by the way, let me just say, Grumpy Granny will not be doing a tutorial video on this. Right?
Why not?
I will not. Because my theory is, if you do not understand the instructions from Hayfro Sells and the information that he's given you, I'm not going to hold your hand to do it because you're going to inevitably stuff it up, right?
That's
so
right.
follow his instructions, and if you can't, well,
Don't
too
do
bad.
it.
I say, don't do
That's
it.
right. Yeah, don't do it.
Now, the other two things that really struck me with this was that my eBay page views went up by 170%. But that also meant, and this is over that time on average, but the external site views that I was getting were like through the roof. They were well over 1,000%. You know, like that was huge. And my organic sales are what have, like, nearly all my sales since I've started doing this have been organic. The beauty of that is I'm not paying any ad fees for my promoted listings. And I didn't turn off my promoted listings either. I didn't change them. I left them. And so basically just did this from, on top of that.
Yeah. And I suppose, like, going back to Brenny's original point before we go, because we're rapidly running out of time, is that I've actually increased the prices on certain things because, like, I followed the 1 foot flip model, with some, gaming pieces and, like Dungeons and Dragons kind of things, where I was marking it progressively down over a fortnight period to sell it out. I actually bumped it up to to almost 3/4 it was originally, and they've been selling. They've been selling it because of just by virtue of the refresh. So if I just had have refreshed it and left it at the price, I would have been leaving money on the table. But that's not to say that's going to work across the board. Like I said, it's because of the Christmas period potentially that people are looking at getting these because and they're all going to America because obviously it's cold in some places and people they can't leave their homes. So just be mindful of that.
I honestly think, like, my overall impression of doing it is that as long as you've got items that are sellable that people are going to want to buy, regardless of whether that's clothing or Dungeons and Dragons pieces or teddy bears or whatever it is, right? As long as it's stuff that are good pieces that you have listed and you've done good listings, I think this is really going to help because, and I think the problem that those things hadn't sold is because the longer that they were there, like if you had something that was 12 months old, it was buried by eBay pretty much. And because they're surprisingly the things, like my clothing SKU started at 1 and went and goes, sequentially. Like the amount of stuff that I've sold between 1 and 20 is a bit mind-boggling, really, because those things are actually then, because they were good things, but they were just getting buried by eBay's algorithm for some reason. And because I'm using the phone, everyone's getting to see how much I took with my hands that you normally can't see because they're below the camera.
I'll stop you, Granny.
Yeah. So I think, good. So I think that's one of the things. I think it's helpful because it is getting your items back up there in front of people.
Yeah, and there will be people in their comment section that say this doesn't work and it's all bullshit and all these different things. That, from what I've said, and I've said this numerous times, and Uncle Wayne, I don't care if I'm repeating myself like I did last time. But the thing of the matter is that we've got data that shows upward trends and all these different things. That's not taking away from this model of listing a certain amount of objects a day and all these different things with consistencies and all these different things. My personal stance is that due to the state of sales and due to the state of eBay and all these different things that people seem to be whinging about and not doing much about, is that anything that you can that will help you further your business, further yourself as a reseller, and further your economical sense from a personal perspective. Take it and run. As long as you know how to bloody do it, do a strong consideration. Like I said, I'm not telling you have to because everyone puts words in my mouth. But if you know how to do it and you basically need to do the appropriate research and work out if your prices are correct and you close a photographed or your products are photographed well lit and they don't look like they're dark and they're overpriced, potentially it will work for you. Like I said, but this is an educated assessment that you need to take on yourself. Don't come into the comment section saying Grumpy Granny and the Octopus told me to do this and they screwed up and we're all over the Reddit pages like someone else is.
And that's what I gave, because I knew what was going to be coming. Once this gets released, I will get requests to do a tutorial on it. And that's one of the things why I'm saying I'm not going to do it. So you can ask, but I'm not going to do it because I just feel that it is something that is potentially, you could potentially damage your store or delete a heavy of your items. And, I'm well aware of that. Like if Octo can lose 100 items, and that's why, because if you need to follow that hey, for Jeff's instructions, and if you can't, well, I don't think you're at a level where you should be doing it.
That's right. And when we say damage your store, it's purely deleting listings. And you need to be mindful of, like I said, those variation listings. I can't stress this enough, is if you add and sell similar, they're going to restock across the board your original figures. So you're going to be selling things that you don't have. From my other store, which I said earlier, that's a multi-quantity listings, it hasn't affected them when I've ended and relisted. However, what I said to Blake this morning is I'm kicking myself because I've lost the sale history on those items. So if you're in a replenishable store, and you've sold 800 products on that listing, you're going back to zero. Potentially it would have been better to have that 800 sold listings with that data with the algorithm behind it, backing it. But if you've only got an everything store that is chugging along and not as performing as well as it should be, it's something to take into consideration. But I think I've had enough of my sound of my own voice today, Granny. I think we should say goodbye. Do you have anything in parting?
Sorry?
Do you have anything to say in parting before we abruptly end this?
No, I just, look, enjoy the content we've given you today and the thoughts that we've given you today. And, just please be careful. And as I said, look, I'm more than happy to help with general questions about it, but I definitely won't be telling step-by-step people how to do it.
No.
I don't want that responsibility. Thank you very much.
No, and that's right. The fact of the matter is that we can tell you over Instagram, we can actually do FaceTime and all these different things, but you're the one that's controlling the mouse. We don't have the access. So you may have misconstrued what we say, or you may have misunderstood, or you just do your own thing and you screw it up, then it's our fault. So, and that's the big thing, isn't it, Octo? We're not actually telling people to go and do it. We're telling you this is the experience that we had. Yes, that's exactly right. But no, big shout out to Jeff and Jack for sharing this with the community and providing us an opportunity to test it out for ourselves. Like I said, by all means, reach out to Life of a Reseller, donate to his Movember charity if you're able to, and have a chat. And have a chat to him as well, because I only told him about it yesterday because he asked me about the Instagram post I put up. And he's having favourable results. So, he's like an independent party, if you will.
I thought you were going to say guinea pig.
Well, I think we're the guinea pigs. But he's pretty much piggybacked on all those different things. But, and like if you have two stores, might be just in value and look at doing it in one store and not the other or something along this. But like I said, have a bit of food for thought, have a research, reach out to Granny and me through the comments or even Instagram. But like we said numerous times, we're not walking you through it. So please don't ask because, us telling you no may offend you. And I need all the subs I can get.
And I mean, we love the community and we love sharing the information that we get. And that's why we've shared it. But and we don't want the responsibility of it.
No, well, that's right. But no, thank you again. Thanks to Grumpy Granny. We'll see you next Thursday.
Cheerio.
Bye. Oh, hang on, we're going. Oh, this is always the awkward part, Granny. I haven't pushed the button yet. We're just going to sit here for an extra couple of minutes and really look awkward. Maybe I should push the button.